We think that success is in all the money or the bank account being full like I used to. And what I'm telling you is I'm getting older here as I'm approaching 47 now. So as I'm approaching midlife, that it's not about that at all. It's about collecting those memories, reminiscing about what was and what will be. It's about collecting those times together, those moments, and grabbing them as pictures and making sure that we're celebrating them. Because what we celebrate thrives in our life, listeners, and what we don't celebrate dies. Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about something a little different than what I normally talk about. I'm going to talk about how are you celebrating your life? How are you celebrating all the amazing accomplishments that you've already achieved and celebrate everything that you've gone through in order to get to where you are today? And I didn't understand a lot about celebration. When I first started in business, for me, celebration was just big numbers in the account, in my bank account. If I had more money in there, I was happy I could celebrate that for a moment, and then it was here and gone. And I found myself constantly searching for more projects in order to fill that hole inside of me to make sure if the bank account was full, I felt like I was successful. And if it wasn't full, then I felt like I was a failure. And that was an ongoing battle constantly. And there were so many times it felt so dark because it's either getting into fall time and we had a good year and we had money. But by the time we got into, let's just say, I don't know, January, February here in Pennsylvania, after a long winter, getting into March, all of a sudden we're just about out of money. The stress levels go up. I feel like I'm failing as a business owner. Why does this keep happening every single time? This must be an only me problem, this kind of thing. But what I've realized over the years, it's been almost 30 years now doing this same cycle over and over again, is that we need to slow down as business owners and we need to spend time celebrating all the wins we have in our life. Because ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure there are tons of things in your life that you're doing really, really well. Maybe it's with your family or your kids or your friends or in a sport that you're in or something you're contributing to, or maybe it's that you've kept up with your reading club or whatever it might be for you. We have to take time to celebrate all of those wins. Our mind likes to file those wins away in a file way, way, way in the back of our minds. And we look each day forward thinking, man, I'm such a failure. I don't know what's going on here. Why do I keep messing up? And I bring all this to you because many years ago, when my wife and I first bought our first home together, as a designer, my heart immediately goes to this idea of, all right, great. I've been, a designer with outdoor living spaces for so long. I know exactly what I want to do inside. I want to make it, certain colors, and I want to make it look like it's a designer house like you would see on HGTV or in Architectural Magazine or Digest or whatever it might be. Like it, in my mind, a house was a place that you could show off your sophistication as a designer. You could design it the way you wanted it to, but you needed to make sure everybody knew that you were a designer. At least that's the world that I saw through the lenses that I saw the world in. So it was my wife and I, we banged heads together in the beginning when it came to decorating the house, because in my mind, I'm like, I'll take care of fixing the house and all of that, but I want to have, some influence here on what we're going to do and colors. And the craziest part is when we first bought the house, this was back in 2005. We bought the house and people had dogs that lived in it, and it was Berber carpets from wall to wall, and they had a white brick fireplace. It was poorly done, and it was a place that people just inhabited. It wasn't a house they actually took much pride in. There was a big red, it was kerosene tank on the back deck. Nothing had been taken care of. There was parts of the house that weren't even painted, and it was T111, and it was, weathered looking. Another part was like this mustard brown. It was a fixer-upper. We knew that when we bought it. And so I went into it knowing that I would be the guy out there painting and fixing and doing it. I love doing that stuff, and I love fixing and working on stuff and building things. I was born and raised on a farm, and we love building stuff. We actually built my mother and father's second floor addition on their house and all of that over the years. And anyway, I enjoy doing those things. I knew this would be a fixer-upper. And on the outside, I had free reign. I asked her a couple of questions and just kind of took care of things as it was going to be. And then when it came to the inside, though, what I didn't realize at the time, that she had a little bit different thoughts of how it was going to be decorated. So when we took ownership of the house, she went to work that night, and I grabbed the crowbar and started tearing out carpets and tearing out the fireplace right away. We inhabited our bedroom and the kitchen. It was pretty much all we did in the bathroom upstairs, and everything else just started getting gutted. All the floors, everything got redone. And it was a great process throughout. But in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, good. I'm going to make this look really great. I'm going to make this like a designer house so I can impress people with my designer ways. And my wife was like, yeah, no, this is our home. We're going to have this, the walls are going to be full of pictures and all. Like, the pictures don't fit my vision for this designer house that you'd see in Architectural Magazine, because they don't have pictures of families on there. They just have like abstract art on the wall and that kind of stuff. So anyway, so we butted heads in the beginning, and I was like, you know what? All right, I'm not going to get my upstairs designer home as I wanted it to be. So eventually she populated the walls with all of these beautiful family pictures from the kids when they were young, my two sons, and all the vacations and the family get-togethers. And our walls are just full of pictures of celebrations of our family, of times we spent together. And it annoyed me in the beginning because in my mind, it was still, I wanted to have something that looked fancy and wanted others to think of us as as me as the designer. It was more significance in my own way. And as I look back at it, I'm just so blessed that my wife had the knowing to make this house a home, right? They talk about this often where, a man will build the home and the wife makes it, build the house and the wife will make it a home. And it is so true. And I didn't realize it at the time. My ego was in the way, but she has done such an amazing job with the house and all the pictures and all the reflections and all the memories. So each day when I get up and I'm walking around the house or whatever I might be doing, I look around and I see these pictures and they constantly remind me of how blessed we are as a family and all the great trips we've gone on and all of that. And it's interesting because then I work out of an office here in our in-law suite in the basement, and I have lots of light in the room and I have access to everything I need right here. And it's a great, cozy little space. And I took those same ideas that I wanted from upstairs and I brought them downstairs, and I wanted to feel like a designer area for our offices, for all of that stuff. So it's going to be gray paint and white trim and nice carpets and hardwood floors and all of that. And stone, and it turned out beautiful. But what I learned over time is as I came into my office each day, I was looking at how designery it looked, but it felt like it had no soul. It felt like it had no remembrance, no celebration of the incredible life that God has given us. And so I started to take a page out of my wife's playbook, and I started to take pictures of all the different things that we were doing as a family, as I was doing with, say, with the Boy Scouts or with my men's tribe, or the mountains we climb, or the adventures we go on. And I take pictures of people that we meet, and I take pictures of all of those things. And now I print one out each time I come back from an event, and it gets a special place on my wall. And each time that happens, I can go around and I reminisce, and I'm looking at it right now as we're talking. I look around at all the people and all the adventures and all of the amazing stuff that is all over the wall. It's like a museum of the blessed life that I get to be part of. And so often, especially in business, we get run down by the weight of everything that the customers need and the projects need, and this broke and that employee and this problem, whatever it might be. But when you take the time and print some pictures out and hang them on your wall, specifically in places that you're in a lot. We have walls in our house upstairs where it is all sunsets. My wife and I love sunrise and sunset, and we go each day to try to at least get a sunrise. And we'll take pictures when we're traveling and we're getting a sunrise or sunset. And she made an entire collage on the one wall of just all the sunsets. And those things are powerful, listeners. Those things are powerful. We think that success is in all the money or the bank account being full like I used to. And what I'm telling you is I'm getting older here as I'm approaching 47 now. So as I'm approaching midlife, that it's not about that at all. It's about collecting those memories reminiscing about what was and what will be. It's about collecting those times together, those moments, and grabbing them as pictures and making sure that we're celebrating them. Because what we celebrate thrives in our life, listeners, and what we don't celebrate dies. So if I were to have kept the same thought that I had before about keeping everything very designer-like in our office space, I would walk into the space and I would feel very, very disconnected from it. And I would feel very soulless in this space. But looking at all the smiling faces, I mean, again, I'm doing it right now from when we climbed Holy Cross Mountain out in Colorado, 14er, to Torrey's Peak, to the cross I have on the wall that signifies my my discovery, my baptism of the Holy Spirit and Christ in my life and finding him in my journey. And I even have a plaque on or a picture on my wall here. That's my life in weeks. And each week on Friday, I knock another box off. I fill it in and I look at my 100-year life and I see that we're almost halfway through it. It gives me more of a kick in the ass to get out there and do the things that I want to do. Some of those are in business and some of those are in relationships. Some of those are in achievements. Some of those are just in quiet time. So what I'm getting at here with this entire podcast is, ladies and gentlemen, if you find that your life feels like it doesn't have a lot of meaning and you don't have a lot of great memories of all the amazing stuff that you've done in your life, perhaps you start hanging pictures on your walls of those moments, because our mind likes to file away those good times and always pull to the top the bad times that we remember so vividly. And those big, beautiful moments, those ones that really impact our life, that were great opportunities for us to be alive, get factored into the back and slowly get either forgotten about or not easily pulled to the front of our mind. I remember going through many photo books as a kid, going through and being like, oh yeah, I remember when I did that. And I remember when I did that. And I remember when we did this. And if we store them away like our mind does and files them away in a file way in the back, we don't necessarily have the rapid recall when we need them, especially when we're having a hard day. I know there's days I get in the office and I just don't even want to be here. I want to be doing other things. I don't have the drive to do stuff in that day. We all have those days. But when I look around and see all these pictures and all the beauty and blessing and privilege that I have in my life, I sit around saying, man, let's get going. There's no point in sitting back. Look at how amazing your life is when those negative voices that permeate our mind at times tell us about how we're not good enough or we're not worthy of love, and that this whole business thing might be just a big scam. And if anybody knew the kind of crap that was going on in my head, they'd think I'm crazy. When you look around and see all these smiling faces, you're like, this is what it's all about. This is what makes it all worth it. When I see men in my tribe, knowing they just went through really, really hard time together, a shared suffering, and they come out the other side stronger men, and they have that smile of confidence and knowing that they are closer to understanding what God created them to be. There's nothing more powerful than that. Or outdoor living mastery events where we have groups of men. I'm looking at one right now where everybody's celebrating after building an amazing space inside of a building and learning and getting together as a community. It's so important that we don't isolate ourselves. We don't isolate, ladies and gentlemen, because that's where the enemy wants to meet us, in isolation. And the more we're connected with other people, whether it's in a Facebook group or a church group, or you just go out to play pickleball with somebody, or even just somehow be in a community where there's connection. That's what our soul truly wants. We're wired for connection. And these pictures that I hang on the walls now, that I've learned from my beautiful wife and her deep knowing and understanding of this, is changed the way that I see my office. It changes the way that I show up. When I shoot podcasts, I look around at times and I look at the faces of the people that have been in my life or are still in my life. And I think this podcast is for that man or that woman. And it's just an amazing thing. So ladies and gentlemen out there, if you find yourself trying to figure out what is this whole life all about, especially in midlife, like what is life all about? What am I doing all this for? It's been the same cycle over and over again with making money and spending money and making money and spending money. And it seems like an endless cycle. Perhaps you slow it down a little bit and start putting up some of your wins on the wall. Maybe it's a wall of fame. Maybe it's a wall of adventure, whatever it might be for you. Maybe you take a wall in your office or your house somewhere and just start putting pictures up, and not just the ones where everybody poses, but those moments captured in your life that make you sit back and smile and make you think, wow, I am so blessed. Because I'll tell you right now that when you have those pictures up and you start looking around and you realize how blessed you truly are and how much of an impact you've already made, perhaps it's even pictures with the projects you've done or clients that are in those projects giving you a thumbs up or whatever it might be that can recenter you back in a mindset of, wow, I truly am blessed. When everything looks dim and dull and, oh my goodness, I don't know where my next lead's going to come from. I don't know if I'm going to be able to close this project. I need the money. I have payroll. I've got all these bills. You can look around and be like, yeah, that may be true, but I also know that what I'm doing is meaningful and what I'm doing is making a difference. And I have evidence, not just feelings, but evidence of that all around me. So I have more wall space, here in the office. And I plan on filling it all with amazing pictures and amazing moments captured. So when I'm having down days or even up days, these help pick you up too. But I even have down days. You look around and you're like, wow, that's right. I climbed that mountain. Wow. I remember that event we did. Wow. I remember that time I spent at that concert with my son. I remember my son being in the back of my truck when we were at that Boy Scout event. I remember, and just start pulling those memories to the top. So again, what we celebrate thrives and what we don't celebrate dies. So fill your walls with everything you want to celebrate. So those really hard days become so much more joyful and you can snap out of them faster because you're supplying yourself with evidence on the walls of how amazing your life is. I'm sure there's something in your life, listeners, that is worthy of celebration. Grab a picture of it. If you have lots of them, fill your walls with it. Have the walls sing of the amazingness that is your life. And that will be something that'll get you up and going each and every day. And it'll encourage you on those down days when it's dark, because we're moving into fall and winter where we have a lot more dark days, like dark time, and less light in the day. And that affects people. There's seasonal depression that happens. I know for me, I get shifted. I'm more tired in the fall and winter than I am in the summer and spring. And I'd want to make sure that I'm refueling my soul with truth. And that truth is celebrating all the amazingness that God has poured into my life and all the amazingness that continues to come forth. So I hope you guys got some value out of today's conversation here on the podcast. And it's something that has absolutely profoundly changed the way I see not just my walls in my office, but that I can capture and celebrate all the amazing things that have happened in my life and continue to do so. And I encourage you to do the same, because this will shift the way that you see not just your office, but your life. What if you could close 75% of your projects without chasing, convincing, or dropping your price? That's not a dream. That's the mission. Mission 75. Here at Yes Express Sales Academy, we are spearheading a bold shift to help outdoor living contractors sell with confidence, not desperation. Because let's be real, you've been told to just give them a good price and hope for the best. You've been trained to beg for work and give away your time and compete with contractors who don't even play at your level. That ends now. I wrote the Core 10 Sales Playbook because it's the system I desperately needed 20 years ago. It's built for real-world, design-build contractors, not guys in suits. Inside, I'll show you how to qualify leads in minutes, speak to emotion, not features, cut confusion and eliminate ghosting, lead the sales call with calm authority, and close premium jobs without flinching. That book drops in January 2026. Check out the show notes to get on the list to be the first in line to grab your copy of the Core 10 Sales Playbook before they're gone. This isn't about working harder, it's about selling smarter, and it starts now. Let's raise the standard together.